Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, people? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another live. I hope you're all doing well today. I hope you've all had a nice start to your week and are settling into a little bit of debate here. It's been an interesting day of news and certainly leading to some interesting debates. I see that obviously in the chat already about midfielders and things like that, which to be expected, and as it should be. There's a lot to debate, to debate about this midfield and everything that's ongoing right now. Lots of stories, lots of briefs, lots of things and ideas changing, as far as I can see, but not really. And I'm here to clear the air. I'm here to clean your eyes and help you understand the truth behind the noise. And there always is noise. We've got a briefing war today. We got our first sort of briefing war today about Sandro Tonali. And I want to talk you through that because I did notice that people who don't want Tonali are taking it one way, and that's not correct. But there's a few ways to take it. You got one journalist saying one thing and one saying the other, and talking about how, well, actually that's why they're playing it. And anyway, I'll just explain the truth of what's going on because it ain't that complicated. I've been watching the England game on the side, looking at that midfield partnership. That's all I was really interested in seeing, is how is that done from the standpoint of Cobby and Elliot Anderson. How has it worked and how has it gone? And I think it's something we should discuss. So I want to discuss that. I want to discuss Tonali. I want to discuss Newcastle's situation. I want to discuss Elliot Anderson. I want to discuss Ndiaye versus Diomande, as we got some news out there today confirming what I was telling you the other day about our interest in Ndiaye and why I believe that he's ahead of the pack with regards to Diomande. And I want to talk about Lewis Hall. Once again, my friends, you know where you heard it all first. It's okay. But look, let's talk about this Cobby Anderson midfield. And I did a poll to ask, how was it? And how do people see it? 52% say good, 21% say not, 26% say will do. Here's the way that I see this, all right? CJ, you hit the nail on the head, all right? When I watch this Mainoo Anderson midfield, you know what the conclusion I'm led to is? We need Carlos Baleba. Because here, the problem with the whole discussion around Cobby in general is that, and I see this going on for those of you who are in Discord as well, seeing, that do this, is that, like, when England concede that goal, oh, Cobby didn't stop it. And then other people, oh, Cobby couldn't have stopped it. It's not his fault. Who cares, man? It's not about whether Cobby could have or couldn't have, or whether he's amazing or whether he's shit or whether he should have stopped the goal as a 6. We missed the whole point of the discussion. Once we're debating, should Cobby Mainoo have, as the deepest midfielder, done better on breaking up the transition, chasing down the ball, and stopping a goal? The fact that we even discussed that, we are already on the wrong discussion, because that's not Cobby Mainoo as a footballer, and it shouldn't be, and it doesn't have to be. If it was Bruno Fernandes playing in that position, we wouldn't say that. Well, we would, but it would be wrong, right? That's why nobody liked Bruno Fernandes deep. Because I don't feel like sitting and debating, could Cobby run back faster in transition and break up play and win the ball and smash through counters and all of that, because that's not who he is as a footballer. Can we just understand that and accept that footballers have strengths and weaknesses and profiles, and accept footballers for what they are and profile them correctly? That's never going to be Cobby Mainoo's game. And a midfield of Cobby plus Elliot Anderson will still have that problem. It will get torn to shreds. How's his wife? To shreds in the midfield on transition. It will get torn to shreds. Now, it could press pretty hot. Anderson's really good with that, and there's a good balance there. Very good on the ball. Some of the things they've been doing were excellent. And I'm looking at that and saying, yeah, it's good for me. It's not that Anderson and Cobby couldn't work, but I also think you have to add in the factor of Bruno, right? And someone said, oh, Palmer lost the ball, and that's why it happened. Right, like Bruno never loses the ball. As great as Bruno is, and he is a great creator, it's risk-taking. All great creators take risks and lose the ball. That's the point. They do lose the ball. Let's live in the real world. Playing behind Bruno Fernandes, you're going to have to clean up him losing the ball. That's life. So saying, well, Palmer lost the ball, this was not any of their fault. It doesn't matter. That's going to happen. We're going to lose the ball and have to deal with transitions and counterattacks. That's life. So, I look at it and I go, it's like, again, as I always say, as soon as you have Bruno and Cobby together, you're always going to have a bit of a problem there. And it doesn't mean one's bad, one's anything like that. It's never been the case. I appreciate in this game, especially in watching it, given that we get to see this partnership, I appreciate seeing what Cobby does and does really well, because there's some stuff he does really well, especially in advanced positions, especially as he gets further forward up the pitch. The stuff he does with the ball is really, really good. A lot of tight spaces, playing through little things, little intricate passes and things like that. I've seen a lot of really good stuff there from Cobby. And I've seen the same with Anderson and all of that. I've seen a lot of good things. So I like all of that, but it does factually, and Anderson too, mind you, it does. Anderson lacks this too. He's not going to hustle back to be the main man back breaking a play, even though he's a good defender proactively.
United needs a midfield three of Bruno, Anderson and Baleba.
Sure.
Can rotate with Bruno and Anderson.
I agree. That's the conclusion that I reach when I look at it. I go, that works. That works for me. Bruno, Anderson, Baleba, Cobby. You have 4, and you mix it all up together. And it works. But you need Baleba. You need the 6. You have to have the 6. Because it's just the missing profile. And again, it's like we got to be able to have these discussions without it being like we got to be able to have these discussions without it being like, can't critique. It's not a criticism, man. It's just the reality of the players. It's the reality of the players. Cobby Mainoo is an advanced midfielder. Baleba's also a box-to-box player. He's not a 6. People kind of got this idea he could be the 6. I always said, I don't think so. That's why we need 2. He's not the 6 either. This is why we need Carlos Baleba in this team. We've got to have that guy who's going to run around, athletic as hell, break up that fucking play. Don't let that ball get into the final third. Block that cross. Do the thing that is necessary to win a game.
Boss, what's our chances of Anderson right now?
I'm at like 45%, Tubbs. I'm at like 40%. I'm never giving up hope. And clearly we still want to do it, and that's what we're going to talk about. So I think it would be great. Cobby could be, if Cobby is the first option off the bench for Bruno or Anderson, that's fine, man. There should be 0 complaints about that. That's good. We need depth. We're going to have a lot of games, So Baleba or João Gomez or something like that, that style of player, that profile, Camavinga, we must have it in our midfield no matter what, or we'll be in trouble. Especially if we're not investing heavily in center backs, right? But even then, England have some pretty aggressive center backs on the pitch, and they're not going to clean up the same way. They're good. You have the same kind of frailties. So I'm looking at this and going, it's pretty obvious to me what we need, what we have, and what we kind of what we've got to do. And that's my conclusion from it. I watched it and I'm like, yeah, I'm not sitting here going, oh, bad player, done shit, done. No, I'm just looking at it for balance, because what we've messed up more often than not in our team was balance. We had Bruno and Pogba at one point. Like, think about the level of talent we've had at United. Even during our blunder years and all that. We had Bruno and Pogba, two of the most talented midfielders of the last decade. And we still couldn't put a fucking midfield together because we did not buy the right partners for profiles. It's not always just about talent. It's about covering up weaknesses. It's about having the things that make it all work together, that make everything work together, that balance the whole structure of everything. And we've not done that. And that's what we can't screw up this summer. Got to get that done. So that was my conclusion from the game. I've turned it off now because I think there were subs and I'm tired of it and I'm not going to watch it anymore. But yeah, that's where I'm at on it. I just look at it and I go, yeah, not for me, man. There's a weakness in that team that needs to be fixed. And not to say it's bad. I want to make that clear as well. We're talking about levels, right? We're talking about levels here. The Cobby Anderson midfield, I think, is good. Good. But it does have, but not great. Would I take it over Casemiro, Cobby? 1 billion times and 633 more. Every day I would take it. Every day I would take it. It's a big improvement. It would make us better. We would be better because Anderson is just much better than Casemiro. Simple as at this point in time. But it has a weakness. And when you have a serious weakness, teams will find it and exploit it in the Premier League. That's one of the things that makes the Prem so difficult, is that every single team hunts down your weaknesses and exploits them. I have noticed that as a difference to some other leagues. I know people have talked about it in the past, but like some of the other leagues, when you play smaller sides, they don't really come in trying to exploit you. In the Prem, everybody sets up to exploit your problem, your weakness. Every single team does it constantly. Tries to figure out your weaknesses and exploit that specifically. I know it sounds like that's just football and everybody does it, but I don't think that's actually true. The Prem is really specific to this, where you see teams specifically changing their strategies and setups. I don't think it's something that on the continent is done as much to specifically hard counter the weakness and problem that you have. And you really have to limit those weaknesses. It happens all the time. So, yeah. I just think, we've got to figure out the right strategy here, figure out the right balance of players to make it all work. But that was my walk away from that. We need that defensive midfielder bad. We just have to have it. We just have to have it. We just have to have it. Now on Tonali, we got some brief counter briefs here. All right, let's first look to The Athletic. Let's talk about Tonali. The Athletic says Tonali was identified as a priority target for Manchester United last summer, but was not pursued because of the overall costs involved. And while he remains of interest, they're considering other options this time around. There's concern about gambling ban fine. I don't believe that, by the way, because he was already looked at as a priority target. The overall cost of potential deal is a factor. The factor, by the way. United sources speak in condition about anonymity played down the prospect of a move for Tonali in the upcoming transfer window. And then it says City have admired him for a while, et cetera, et cetera. And then it says, Anderson is our top target. Understood to be the top target, but at least 2 midfielders, possibly 3. And then Carlos Baleba is still mentioned as well. So really all that was mentioned here was the same guys. Tonali, Anderson, Baleba, which isn't really a surprise to me. But I want to say here that, look, you got to read between the lines a little bit on all of this stuff, okay? And then the Daily Mail and Salt and them came back with a fire back on this. And they said, Is Tonali still in the mix? Suggestions that a deal was about to be struck are close. Well, nobody said that, by the way. Leading to a downplaying of it all as of today. The Italian remains high on United's board, and while some insiders have been keen to cool talk around him, his name is not going to disappear off of it, especially if Anderson to City edges closer and all of that. So look, I'm going to tell you the truth, and this is the truth. Nothing's changed. Sandro Tonali is still very, very highly coveted at United. However, it is, of course, the strategy of United to progress on multiple deals, to work on them, and go, well, if we do miss out on Anderson, who is and always has been our top target, and I think still we should throw the fucking book at to try to get happen, if we miss him, that suddenly down or, played down or cooled off suddenly heats up. Benjamin Šeško, The Athletic, and myself, to be fair, and myself last summer played down Benjamin Šeško for a while. I remember quite specifically what I heard, what they heard and reported, and what we said at the time was playing down Šeško due to the costs and things like that as well, in almost the exact same manner. And we ended up with Benjamin Šeško when we missed out on some other targets as well. But it wasn't just that. Getting a goalkeeper was played down massively last summer in the news, and then it happened, right? Even getting a striker at all was played down in the news massively, and then it happened. It's okay. It's early, and we just need to let it be. These are the briefs. These are the talks. These are the stories, the counter briefs, the discussions, the things we're expecting to happen. I could tell you for a fact, very recently, for sure, United have held talks over Tonali and had contacts very recently. Very recently, okay? They're very interested, but it's fine. Anderson is our top target. If we can get him, beautiful. And we will try. And we will try our best. And as I was saying the other day, there's enough, maybe the word isn't chaos, but enough unknowns, speculation, confusion, or otherwise potential upheaval at City that maybe gives us a chance at Elliot Anderson. Maybe it gives us a chance at Elliot Anderson. Maybe it does. And we're not willing to give up. And we won't know until we've secured Champions League. And we push ahead in these discussions to get some final answers. We won't know. But the point here is that we're going to go for our big signing fast, right? Right off the bat. That's the point. We want to get work done on the midfield very quick, very early on. That's the idea. Sometimes it can be harder afterwards, to do that, and you have a short window and all that. And we do need to get some progress done. So we will try, again, very hard for Elliot Anderson, but Tonali does remain a serious prospect and a serious possibility. Now, look, are we going to pay $100 million for Tonali? I don't think so. I never thought we would. I don't think if the price... That's why I've always felt like it's still going to be difficult. The club side of Tonali is going to be difficult. He's willing to join us. He's willing to join us. The club side is always going to be difficult, and we've not done anything on that. And I've shared the truth with you on that a few times, and that's the only times where I've tampered it down a little bit. As I said, I still think the club side with Newcastle is going to be very difficult with Tonali. But it's going to be expensive for virtually everybody we go for. That's why, personally, I still am going, I'd just like to see us try to something else, the Kamavinga or something like that. The other thing that's confirmed here, or that was in one of these pieces, by the way, that I've been saying, is this on Adam Wharton. It says, United like Wharton, whom insiders expect to be available for 60 to 70 million, but are concerns that his style of play is too similar to Kobbie Mainoo's and that they would not be able to operate as a partnership. Now, they're not really particularly similar in some respects, but in others they are. And that is a concern within the club, is the inability potentially for them to play as a partnership. That being said, A partnership with Carlos Baleba would be better, frankly. Would actually potentially work quite well for Adam Wharton, too. So, look, the negotiations with Newcastle will be rather difficult, but there's a reason why we're hanging around this situation, but also why we don't want to put all our eggs in that basket as well. And if you look at this story, I think it's Martin Ziegler. I've been kind of talking about this a lot recently, about how Newcastle are probably going to have to sell, and that's really what we're kind of banking on here a little bit, and some clubs are, as it says, Newcastle United at risk of hefty fine for UEFA financial rules breach. UEFA won't accept 33 million profit from selling stadium to sister company. So they already had some issues. They were already in violation, and now they're going to get a big fine. They're going to maintain it being in violation of certain financial rules. They're going to have to cash in on some players. But they're gonna. Yeah, it's going to happen. They're going to have to cash in on some players. They're going to have to sell. They're going to have to raise some money. And so it also behooves United to, and anybody really, to put their feet to the flames a little and say, beggars can't be choosers. You can't sit there and be all, uptight about, oh, we're going to get the most money from everybody and shit. Nope. We're going to let you suffer financially. We'll work on our other deals, and to Tonali's representatives and agents will be saying, bring us a good offer from them. And by offer, I mean a good ask. Well, this would be the price, or something realistic that is actually doable and obtainable. And those discussions will have happened. So the next moves are going to be rather interesting. Now, that being said, we'll definitely be exploring other midfielders too. There's other out there, and I'm begging, based on what I know from what United have looked at, that we get some cool links in Spain. From what I'm getting from the headlines, no one really knows what United want. United are playing their games, and they've done it well. And I know what they want, and I think I explain it quite well in terms of what the game that they're playing. And I think that people take stuff with too much definitiveness or not credibility, but like, what, when you talk about transfers with people, one of the things people hate when you say is that things change in football. But that is basically the number one correct rule of actually understanding football transfers, is that they do change. And the reason that they change is because you don't know everything at any given time. They change a lot. And everybody has their goals and their narratives and their things that they want to put out there. But it does change. Today, Tonali, playing it down. Tomorrow, Ndiaye Anderson says, I'm going to City. Suddenly, Tonali's back on top of the list. You know what I mean? That's a change, but it ain't. If you just understand the whole picture, but people get too wrapped up in reports and they swing so hard based on this report or that report or this or that. And you gotta maintain a fine balance of what your expectations are. Okay. You have to maintain a fine balance on that front and not get too upset. Shit happens, shit changes, and you've got to adapt. You have to be, are you ready for it? Our favorite 4-letter word that United will be once again in the market? Agile. They have to be agile in the market. That is what United will be, and that is what you have to be in this business. So don't get too wrapped up in the words. A lot of stuff changed from the start of last summer to the end. And the whole point of being agile is you look at it and you go, we can just figure it out, some of it as we go. You lay your plans down, you got your best case scenarios, and then shit happens and you have to, it's a 5-letter word. I realized I said 4. I said 4, and that probably confused everybody. I'm just realizing now I said 4. It's like, wait a second. I said 4. American education. You can blame it on my upbringing. Okay. Blame it on my upbringing. Blame it on my country. Blame it on Trump. Blame it on Bush. No child left behind except me. Just kidding. There you go. Yeah, Smokey. You're on my brainwave as usual, man. You're on my brainwave as usual. That's funny. Anyway. It's rough out here, right? But yeah, so that's where we're at. That's where we're at on the whole Tonali thing. We will be agile. We will be flexible. we will things are gonna happen and things are gonna change, and we'll see what goes on from there. So beyond that, okay, we talked about Newcastle. There was also some story today about Nico Schlotterbeck, with Build once again linking us a little bit, saying that one of the things holding up his potential new contract is that, which would have a release clause from 2027, is that interest from Liverpool and United.
Unfortunately, United have no money to spend in the summer. Winking face emoji. Cool
None at
face
all.
Emoji.
None at all. No money to spend. They're broke. They are broke. They are broke. But yeah, there was a story on Schlotterbeck, and it's hard to know. I think he's going to sign that new deal. There's a lot of stories more saying that he is going to sign that new deal, and that's going to get done. But yeah, probably. I still think it's certainly more likely something that comes to the forefront for next summer. That on the center back front, I would love us to try to get something done this year. And if it turns out, it says a possible reason for Schlotterbeck's hesitation: renewed interest from England. Liverpool and Manchester United reportedly considering signing him once again. So I look at that and go, man, if there was a chance, I would be trading a winger for a center back for Schlotterbeck. Schlotterbeck's really, really good. Schlotterbeck's really, really good. I need to sort out Howson. Why? I'll watch what Howson said, and I want to see if he understands what he's saying. And he should know better, though. He should know better. I'll talk to him, because we had a conversation last summer, in person, Steven and I, about United's financials, and because he'd heard something at the time, which was true, and it was a really well done from him to find it out. He should know better about United don't have money. But what I need to know from Mr. Howson is he playing the game? Because there's a possibility in making a video that says United are not flush with the ability to spend, that he's playing a game. However, I do want to say this. United do have a cash problem, okay? We've talked about that. We have talked about this, and it is true. United do have a cash problem. That is 100% accurate. It's not a debate, not a discussion. We have a cash shortage, okay? In terms of space on like PSR, which is going away, but space in terms of like our legal financial limits, it's practically infinite. And I shouldn't say that, but it's the truth. United can spend, from the standpoint of the limitations set by UEFA and the Premier League and losses and all of that, can spend a lot. The cash is another issue, but that is all dependent. There's a few things that depends on. Number one, the cash issue can be solved by, if we make some good sales, that we will sell those revenues up and generate the cash up front. Number two, what kind of payment plans do we get on transfers? If we get them all over 4 or 5 year installments, then we don't have a cash problem. If we can't, then we have a cash problem. Number three, and sort of an unknown, but we kind of know, and we'll find out more about this in the next quarter and the next quarter as well. We opened up more space on the credit line. How much more do we pay down before summer? Because if we pay down another 50 to 60 million before summer, then we will have no cash problem. Well, we'll have some, but we'll have about 150 in cash that we can spend. The other question, the other possibility that we could do is, in qualifying for Champions League, you genuinely receive the Champions League money, obviously, over time in TV and prizes and things like that are paid out. Could United get a loan to push some of that revenue forward, not from future years, but from the present year? Probably as well. There's solutions to all of these problems for creative accountants, but it is totally correct that there is a cash problem. Okay? But there is solutions. There are solutions. And I tell you that from the standpoint of, you should know. I don't think we need to talk about it like it's a disaster, because people get real worried, real upset, and I understand that, and they get real negative, and I don't think we should. I don't think we need to get real negative, and we shouldn't get real negative. But there is a cash problem, but there are also solutions. And I just think it's important people know that. There's solutions. There's ways we can solve that problem, for what it's worth. But yeah, look, Nico Schlotterbeck would be great if we decided to make a move for him. I'd be very, very happy if we did that. That would be excellent, but I still doubt it right now. Other stories that have come out. Speaking of Stephen Allison, did a video on Lewis Hall. He did the same day I did a video on Lewis. He came out first, I think, but it doesn't matter. I did Lewis Hall video this morning. And I did a video on Lewis Hall, and you've been seeing people start to mention, this is no shade, because I get along with a lot of these people. See people start to mention Lewis Hall as a prospect and saying, United are in for Lewis Hall. I know. I've been telling you for about 5 months now that United are in for Lewis Hall. But I'm curious and quite intrigued by the idea that other people are hearing it now, because I'm wondering where they're hearing it from. I know where I heard it from and why I knew it to be the case. Where are they hearing it from? Because I doubt it's from where I'm hearing it from. And sometimes that means it's moving. That being said, I still believe Lewis Hall is going to be virtually, if not completely, unobtainable from virtually or entirely unobtainable from Newcastle this summer. They do have to sell someone. But I think that Lewis Hall is going to be near bottom of their list for who they want to sell. And I don't think he'll go for 55, 60 million, because Newcastle are not easy sellers. And Lewis Hall, I think they're going to price out of the market. I would be ecstatic. I think he's potentially going to be the best left back in England, if he's not already. He's a very, very good all-round player. He's got the physical tools, the athletic tools, the technical tools, the passing, does it all. Everything that I like, I see. I just don't think Newcastle will sell him. And that's why I haven't gotten excited about it. I think they'll cash in on some other assets, even at discounts, well before they would sell Lewis Hall. That's my read on it from my side. And I would be happy if that's not the case, and we end up and Newcastle express some willingness in order to let him go. I just don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think that they'll look to sell Anthony Gordon, they'll look to sell Livramento, they'll look to sell someone like Tonali before they go to sell Lewis Hall. That's what I say. And I think they'll have enough money prior to any sort of approach that could be made for Lewis Hall. So that's going to be a difficult one to get done. No doubt about that. I'm not overly optimistic on that basis. I'll say put it that way. By the way, as you're here, drop a like on the video. There's 100 likes, 500 plus people here, middle of the day on a Tuesday, in end of March. Appreciate you all. Do drop a like on the video while you're here. It means a lot to me. Helps and all of that. And subscribe as well. Subscriber numbers have been growing really nicely recently. We finally got over all the Amram drama and everything started to pick back up again. But yeah, I feel one of the reasons I really want Lewis Hall, sometimes it seems like there aren't a whole lot of very good fullbacks on the market. There aren't. I think that there are very, very few fullbacks on the market. I think fullback is one of the weakest positions in football right now. They are rare. Fullbacks are very rare, right? Good fullbacks are hard to find. They really are. They are hard to find. And so I think in that sense, it's really quite worth it. I think it's quite worth it to get that done. If we can. I would love it. And I'd happily pay 60 to 65. I just think Newcastle are going to ask for way more and probably don't want to sell him at all. The next thing I wanted to speak about was Ndiaye versus Diomande. Now, I shared with you all the other day news on this subject about that I was hearing of Ndiaye being ahead of Diomande due to, things like concerns over price, things like concerns over expense and all of that, right? Concerns over, some of the age and risks and things like that. And that Ndiaye might be a bit more wanted and feasible. And certainly we saw some reports kind of leaning in that direction as well today. I think there's a few other people who reported similarly at this point, and that's where I'm at. I still stand by that information that if we're going to move for left winger right now, I'm leaning more towards Ndiaye than Diomande for that reason as well. Costs, all the stuff associated with it, with his age, and that it's just that the Diomande thing is just too difficult, much more difficult of a deal. You know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at on it. That's what I think is the case. And there's so United District said they understand that Everton forward Ndiaye is high on United's list of targets, some within United's recruitment department firm to other options such as Diomande due to his Premier League experience. Diomande, although seen as a highly talented young winger, would also come with a hefty price tag, which some within the club feel may be too expensive considering the club have other areas to focus on. So pretty much that's what I was saying the other day. So I quite like Ndiaye, and I think that he's not sweating a winger. Yeah, I mean I'm kind of good with whatever. But I'm not. I would prefer Ndiaye. Would Ndiaye? Yeah, I think Ndiaye would be around the same price. I think he would be around the same price. One second, sorry. So that's where I'm at. Does the man from Red Bull step? No, I don't think it works that way either. And I think again, it's factoring in costs and prices and things. And like I said the other day, I don't think we'll get a discount on Diomande or anything like that. 3 midfielders. Sorry guys, I am tired. as my son was sick over the last weekend and into yesterday still. He was better, but staying home and just haven't gotten a lot of sleep. So I am tired. My eyes are a bit sore. So not trying to yawn on purpose and be disinterested. I'm just physically tired. Three midfielders, a central defender, and a left back are more important than a winger. I agree with that. I would take all those before a winger. But yeah, Wilcox is definitely very big on those Prem-proven players, isn't he? Definitely big on those. How many deals do you think is possible? I think we could get 5 signings done this summer. I think so. Other interesting thing is just a little bit more talk with regards to Miles Lewis-Skelly. Now, once again, it's been stated that that he's been offered to us by his agents. As I've said before, Miles Lewis-Skelly, it's a lot of not United are interested, but certainly pushing on it a little, like
deals like Laman's deal.
Yeah, I agree. We need 1 or 2 Lamans or Dorgu type deals for sure. And maybe that'll be Miles Lewis-Skelly. Maybe he'll be one of those where, he's not getting a lot of minutes out there right now. He's not getting a lot of minutes out there right now. And he's not getting a lot of minutes out there right now and looking for greener pastures to come play, and certainly looking at United as a potential option, given he can cover left back and midfield. Kind of makes sense as a potential cheap option too. And I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of Lewis-Skelly. United certainly have kept an eye on it. It would have to be very much at the right price. And I think we would consider it. But it's like, we'll see as well. Obviously, we're going to try to get through our priority targets, and he's kind of an option sitting there as well. You liked my Alex Scott video, definitely great backup option. Yeah, guys, that's another one I want to say on that front is Alex Scott, because we've been linked to him. We are interested. We have watched him. And I've always kind of written it off like, he's just okay and all that. But the more I looked into him, the more I was like, he certainly is a player that, because of his injuries, I think he went under the radar. Just how good a season he's having, given that it's like his first full season uninjured in the Premier League. And obviously he needs to maintain that fitness and everything, but which he has for a while now. But I was really surprised when I watched some stuff on him, read some stuff on him, went into stats on him and things like that, to see just how good Alex Scott looked. I think he has potential to be a really good player. I think he's actually quite exciting in that respect. I think he's going to grow into one that's going to get a lot more attention over the next few years. He fits so well into the modern midfielder profile. And he's so solid on the ball. A lot of his actions, he can be explosive. He's very, he's athletic. He's good defending. He's good at a lot of things. And, and it kind of goes under the radar in that respect. And, yeah, so I'm quite intrigued by that one as well. If he ends up being available from the 40 million range, maybe that United will make a move for someone like him. And I think he's multi-positional as well. I think he could do a few things in that front. Andy Minton's mentioned him a few times. Yeah. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by that one. I really am. I'm kind of thinking some of those surprise signings. But guys, on the other hand, don't be surprised. I see, questions like, hey, what if this player things went and they went quiet and this happened? And everything's going to go quiet. Everything's going to go quiet because that's the phase of the window we're not in. We're not in the window. It's think of it like interview rounds, right? If you want to think of the way that here's a good analogy. It's like interview rounds. And we're progressing into the next round of interviews. And then it's going to go quiet. We're going to review our interview rounds. And we're going to pick out the best candidates. And then those are the ones we're going to present job offers to. You know what I mean? You ever see those charts people do for when they're they post them on Reddit and stuff like that for when they're applying for jobs, and also go on Tinder and stuff and dating sites where it's It's like, all right, we did first round. I swiped right on 635 women, and then I had conversations with 25, and then, 10 we ended up going on setting up a date. 5 no-shows. 5 you went on a date with, and then 1 resulted in a relationship. And it's like there's rounds, you got these levels to go through. But like with jobs, it's like the same thing, and that's essentially where we're at. So we had our huge giant list. We swiped right on 65 midfielders. What was the number with Wan-Bissaka, right? We analyzed 733 different right backs, right? And then so we got all these big giant lists, and we've gone through it. And then it was down to like 30. And then we made some basic contacts. All right, get rid of that one, boom, 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 boom. And then we're down to like 7. And then now we're doing the 7, and you're hearing the reports because we're narrowing it down to the 2 or the 3. And going, we have those don't work out. We're going to have to reopen some convos, but we think we'll get one of these 3. And they might be in an order. And that's the next round. So we're doing the 7 now, and we're not done during this break. So one of the things I expect will happen is we will hear different names over the coming days. We'll get a few reports of inquiries on this player, that player, this random player, things like that. And then you'll see, and those are like the other names all kind of listing down, and then it'll go quiet, because we'll come back to football. And then somewhere in like end of April, it'll just go whoomp, just suddenly like we're getting in touch. Once we secure Champions League, we'll move into the next phase and we'll start putting job offers. All right, we've got a contract for you. We want you to accept this. We want you to start engaging with the club, get some prices, and it'll move into the next phase. It's The Bachelor. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know, whatever you would want to say, something like that. Something like that. We're in like the, we're handing out a few more roses today, but then there's gonna be more shit. Is that how it works, right? And then we're gonna pick at the end of it. Something like that. Lost an interview today because I didn't hear what the interviewer said. We shouldn't answer question 1. Guess what question 1 is? Why do you want to work with us? Well, it sounds like you dodged a bullet to me. Those who wanted Bastoni, he's trash. He might have cost his team World Cup. Maybe. I mean, international football setting. International football is kind of crazy. But look, end of the day, United are in, right now, negotiating settings. You know what I mean? Scale it back. It's negotiations times. Put some little briefs out, some little play this down, play that up, play this down, play that up. But my hope is we're going to hear some other names now, because there's a few more to inquire about that I suspect we will. And I suspect before football comes back, we're going to get at least 2 more names. Not saying ones we necessarily haven't heard, like ever, but potentially 2 more names. I'd be surprised if we didn't see 2 more names. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be an interesting time. What else? What else should we discuss today? Anything else I missed from the conversations today? Yeah. For uncovered gems, but not big names. You mean like the Door Goose? Yeah, I don't know. Gosh, I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe we'll get some of those. But I would consider guys like João Gomez. That might be that. I mean, I don't know. Because anytime we're linked to a Premier League player, people won't consider it as like an underrated gem. But I do think guys like Alex Scott and João Gomez fall in that bracket. There was news about Xerxes wanting to stay. Any truth in that? I would say that I wouldn't doubt it, you know. Here's the thing about this season, right? The reality is that we have like so few games. It was always natural we're going to have some guys push their way out and be like, oh, I don't want to play. But as you reach the end of the season, they might be going, not so bad. We'll have Champions League next year. I've got a good payday here. You know, all of that. And say, maybe I'll stay. Maybe I'll just stay and there'll be more games for me next season. And I like this club. Xerxes a good guy. He's got a good attitude. He's got a good connection with his teammates and the club. And, you know, so I wouldn't be surprised for that to be the case, that as reality nears, you didn't get your loan, you didn't get out in January, you go, might as well just stay next season. There's going to be so many more games I'm definitely going to play, and I'll get to play Champions League, you know? And it's a little lower pressure, and, you know, and then maybe he's looked at the offers in Italy and gone, I'll be a backup in Italy too, so why not be a backup at Manchester United? It's a good job. It's a good role. We'll have Champions League. I'd take it. So I suspect he'll stay. I think Ugarte's situation is certainly different in that respect. Definitely I wouldn't classify them in the same bracket in that mindset anyway. But I don't know how I feel about that one with regards to Xerxes. He's a player I just feel like we've never seen him. You know, he got injured in summer. Wasn't there for preseason, and so really didn't feature in Amarim's plans. Can't really blame him on that front. Barely played. He's shown some really good things when he's played, but he's never really put it together. He's not featured since Amarim's left. It's not like he's suddenly come back into the fold as like a main guy since Amarim's left. So it wasn't like just manager specific. He's just, I don't know. Whenever I watch Xerxes, I'm always like, there's something I like in him. But at the same time, there's things I don't. And for me, he just hasn't put it together, you know? So on that front, I'm not like stoked about it. I'm just sort of like, I don't know. I'll see it one way or another. I'll see it. I don't know how to decide. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to make a decision and say one is right or wrong. I can see both ways. I can have that feeling both ways of like, I can see the merit in him staying, and I can see that he should leave as well. But then we'd have to replace him. So I'm okay with him staying. But that's mostly because I don't think the forward is that huge a priority. So I sort of like, let's keep it simple. You know what I mean? We can always address it next season. Whereas with the midfield, I'm like, we have to handle it now. So do what you got to do in that front. But, you know, maybe in Europe, you know, Xerxes would be better as well. I thought Xerxes was pretty good last year when he played in Europe. I thought he was pretty good in Europe. It's a slower pace, suits his game more. He was really good in a couple Europa games, if I'm not mistaken, right? When was it? It was he was cooking in a couple of those games. A couple of the knockout games, he was actually really good. And I remember thinking, yeah, the more games we have in Europe, the more Xerxes should play. And then he got injured. That's what it was. He was actually going through a really good run of form. He had been really good in the Europa League campaigns, right? He scored a couple goals in a row. He was brilliant, actually. I think it was Sociedad. He was really good in that tie. And then he pulled his hamstring against Newcastle, and he was actually playing well that game too. And then he pulled his hamstring against Newcastle and only was able to return right at the end of the season. And it's just been kind of bad luck since then. So, like, I understand things both ways. I understand if someone is sitting there going, Xerxes got to go, not good enough, not showing anything. I get it. You may not be wrong. You might not. I also get if someone is going, But I just hold out that the qualities that he does have, because you can see there's an incredible skill set there. Maybe it'll just work as a backup next year. And we've got a lot more games, and, you know, better than going and spending like 35, 40 million on Mateta or something who's coming off a surgery or, you know, whatever. You never know. You never know. So, yeah, I'm kind of okay with him staying this summer and kicking that can down the road if he wants. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll be cool with that either way, honestly. Yeah, I'll be cool either way. So anyway, that's where we're at. Let's see. Anything else to talk about? You think he'll come good at United? If not here, then somewhere else? I hear that. I hear that. I do hear that. Trust me. More than you know, I hear that. All right. We should get Welbs. I just don't think we can. The Nessie. iPal not convinced about Mainoo at all. Let's do a different poll, because I pulled this Anderson Mainoo thing. Let's do one more poll. So, do you think we need that athletic real DM, or is it fine to get guys like Anderson and Tonali alone? Not saying like we shouldn't get them, but should we get one, like a serious actual defensive midfielder this summer? Is that a necessary profile? Because there's a lot of different views on football on this these days, and it kind of surprises me a little. It does surprise me a little bit. I think it's a requirement at top level of football, but I know a lot of people don't think that. So I'm curious. I think most people think we're going to need a real DM. I always chuckle that the poll asking to like the video has more votes than the video likes. Every single video. I know, Shatters. And it's like, people can click the 291 votes. That means 291 times people could click. 130 of them lied. 130 of them clicked the poll that said, yes, I've liked the video, or will do, and then didn't click like. It's just one more click. Liars. Liars, liars, liars. All right, it's a pretty clear answer here. About 90% saying yes. So, yeah, I would agree. I think we need that. Well, you know, the funny thing is, though, if I don't do the poll, the likes are like in half. So it works. It's just that a lot of people click it and then forget to go click like as well. It takes 2 seconds, guys. Just pop over and click like. That's it. It's that easy. It was the bots. Oh, God, not the bots again. Not the bots again. Not the bots again. But yeah, I think we need a real athletic like a real defensive midfielder, play breaker, physical, defensive demon, beast mode player, you know, just to break up play and all of that. So I'm looking for, let me find it.
If it's up to me, I will go all out for Anderson, Balebo and Gomez.
Anderson, Balebo, and Gomez. I love that. I think that's great. I think it's a great pairing of players, because then you've got, I think, 2 for the 8s and Anderson and Cobby, 2 for the 6s. You know, and then you can mix and match them a lot. I would be extremely happy with that. It's like 3 taps on mobile. I mean, that probably explains it. I do imagine that most people watch on mobile. But, you know, what I'm looking for here is, what are we looking for? Like, I want a defender. Defensive duels 1, you know, with a good rating of defensive ball wins. This is what I want. Somebody who's in one of these good zones. Look at Rogenbaum. He's been so good for Everton recently. Somebody over here is good. You know, but it's also where. That's the important part. Where are they winning them? Because with Elliot Anderson, it's higher up the pitch. Where they win is important. Yarmouk as a cheap potential under the radar option could be interesting too. We have thought about that. But somebody like that. Somebody decent in the air as well. Yeah. That's what I'm looking at. We need that. And we need someone who does that in the defensive areas and on counters and things like that. Okay. You haven't decided if you like the live yet? Well, fuck, man. It's been an hour. What else do I have to do? What else do I have to do to earn your likes? What else, man? All the teams are bad, though. Yeah, that is part of the issue, isn't it? That's why I like Kamavinga. Because if you switch it over to good teams, ta-da, Kamavinga. One of the few who has these kind of numbers on a team that is actually winning. Buwadi is probably one of those hidden gem types, but not so hidden anymore. But he probably falls into that category. But seriously, man. All right, sing, little dance. No. Only for money, not for likes. Only for money. All right, guys. Well, I think that'll be it for today. Okay. I think that'll be it. Okay. I appreciate you all watching very much. I appreciate you all being here. It's been fun. We made it through about half of our break. Just half. We still have half more to go. But interesting stuff. Interesting news. It's been a very intriguing. I do think we kind of know what we're doing. I think we know where our top priorities are lying. And I do think we'll learn more in the next few days as well. But we'll be back tomorrow with more. I need to do a video. I haven't decided on tomorrow's. Who have I not covered that I should be covering, that I've linked us to, that we've discussed? What player have I missed? Because I know I've missed some. I feel like I've missed someone significant. In terms of a player I need to do a video on, and I can't remember. I'll figure it out. But I need to do one more, at least a few more videos, and then I will... Skelly? Yeah, it might be Skelly. Might have to do Miles Lewis Skelly. Hard. Not a lot of data on him because he's barely played football this year, but we'll see what we can pull off. And then I'll figure out some other random ones like that we're not particularly linked with. But I'll be back for a live either way. Okay. Thank you all. See you later. Have a good night. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Goodbye.